Today, you will witness the birth of a new fusion-based energy source. Safe, renewable energy, and cheap electricity for everyone.
Hollywood always gives us a sneak peek on the future, but we usually put it aside as a mere fantasy. The latest revelation from California concerning the viability of fusion energy is once again proved Hollywood's prophecy. The allure of fusion energy is pretty evident, even though we cannot grasp the idea that humans can create an energy source as big as the sun itself. Welcome to another episode of Cream Rises Up. In this video I will briefly talk about the prospects of fusion energy and its nuances. Stay tuned. Plasma physicists have been trying to tap into fusion reaction that powers the sun for many years, but until December 2022, no group had been able to produce more energy from a fusion reaction than it consumes, which is the biggest challenge that fusion energy has faced. That goal, known in the field as scientific energy gain, was finally achieved on December 5, 2023, at the National Ignition Facility in California, using the world's biggest laser. It has garnered rave reviews from Washington when Jennifer Granholm, U.S. Energy Secretary, called it one of the most impressive scientific feats in the 21st century. Before mentioning what has transpired in the National Ignition Facility, it would be prudent to explain what exactly fusion reaction is all about. In simplest of terms, fusion reaction occurs when we amalgamate or fuse pairs of atoms together in a controlled environment, releasing huge amounts of energy in the process. This is in a stark contrast to fission reaction, which is generating energy by splitting atoms, the method used in nuclear reactors of today. But the journey of realizing fusion energy hasn't been smooth sailing, to say the least. People in the industry always joke that fusion is 20 to 30 years away and always will be. Achieving that elusive net gain, which is getting more energy from less input, is much harder than anticipated. However, what we witnessed in late 2022 is truly historic. The National Ignition Facility experiment that produced fusion ignition in a laboratory for the first time and with the much-awaited net energy gain has been finally accomplished. Despite this momentous occasion, it's kind of flew under the radar because our world was grappling with wars and post-pandemic issues. The potential of fusion energy is immense, and it could create a massive snowball effect in our world economy. Fusion reactors are designed to produce electricity without generating greenhouse gases or hazardous radioactive waste, and operate at much higher temperatures than fission reactors. To put it into context, the fusion reaction releases 10 times more energy than nuclear fission, thus one quantity of deuterium is equal to over 200,000 barrels of oil. This will create an unprecedented opportunity, especially for developing countries, in terms of harnessing cheap and clean electrical power. This will have a domino effect on the economy, and which in turn also improves the quality of life of people. Even though NASA is still not convinced by the latest breakthrough concerning fusion energy, its proponents hope the pace of progress can now accelerate. The National Ignition Facility has made steady progress since it began ignition experiments in 2011, which led to the December breakthrough. The facility's success can be attributed to the evolution of its experimental designs and improvements in technology. These improvements include advancements in diagnostics, optics, and simulation technology, as well as target quality and the energy balance of the National Ignition Facility's 192 laser beams. Refining the methods using the latest laser technology, coupled with improved understanding of plasma physics, will eventually, hopefully in the very near future, will make fusion energy a reality for all of us. However, as it is in many things these days, politics has its tentacles wherever there is huge amount of money involved. As I alluded to above, the biggest obstacle for fusion energy right now is the lack of political will by world governments for the research and development of fusion energy. Currently, the bulk of funding for fusion energy is coming from private companies and venture capitalists. Government involvement is minimal at this stage. It can be difficult for policymakers to justify funding expensive research projects that may not produce results for many years, if ever. The pace of scientific advancement doesn't always align with political schedules. A politician who approves funding for a fusion project may not even be alive when it becomes a practical energy source, and won't be able to take credit for its success in future elections. The fact of the matter is, if we are going to realize the fusion dream in the next decade, government officials have to exert much more effort and set aside their political gains for a moment. Without the collaboration of the private sector and governments, it would be nigh on impossible to make fusion energy a reality. So, where do you think that the development of fusion energy is heading? And do you think that the latest groundbreaking achievement will propel it to become viable in the near future? Drop us a comment. Until we see you again, cheers.